Well, this is a surplus aircraft starter motor that operates on 36 volts DC, and the front part is newly made or purpose made to work with this car, to start the engine. And so we'll take it out here in a minute, and it has this reaction bar on it so that the torque that's generated is absorbed by this bar being against the ground, ready to pitch you up into the cheap seats when you go to start it. So this is the Bardol Special. It was built in 1953 by Frank Kurtis for a fellow from Memphis named Pat Clancy. And Pat Clancy was an old entrant at Indy. He had a new car built, and this is it. They qualified it in 1953 and finished 10th. Missed the race in 54 because it wasn't fast enough. And then in 55, they picked up about 10 miles an hour with it. And the car was qualified by Jimmy Davies and ultimately finished in 3rd place. In 1956, the car was driven by a gentleman named Al Herman, and the tire blew out about the 75th lap on the front straightaway, and the car was wrecked bad enough that due to its age and the fact that it was getting kind of obsolete, it was elected not to repair it for Indy racing. I don't know anything about its history between that point and sometime in the 80s when it was found by a guy behind the barn. It changed hands 2 or 3 times, and I got the car in a trade with a gentleman by the name of John Meekum out of Houston, Texas. Took me about 3 years to restore it to the state which you see, which is obviously its 1955 configuration. And I've had it done for nearly 15 years as you see it today, and we run it each year at Indianapolis and have a big time with the car. I just like the cars. When I was a kid, I associated with the mechanics and the builders of the Indy cars as opposed to the drivers. And I never had any aspiration of being a race car driver, either drag or any kind of round track. And so I like restoring the cars. I like using them when we get them finished. And I can't explain it any beyond that. It's just something I like to do. And been doing it now for about nearly 30 years. And hadn't really lost much enthusiasm for it, but I'm 30 years older than I was when I did the first one. So that makes it, or 35 years older, and that makes it a little more difficult. So this next one will probably be the last car, simply because all the cars that are really worth restoring are pretty well already restored by others. And I can't think of another car that I know of that I would want to put the time and effort into, not to mention the money that it would take to do it. Besides that, all the engines and rear ends, all wheels, parts, about all the parts are about taken up. Because back 40, 45 years ago, everything got scattered, and now it's about all gathered back up. Used to, 35 years ago, within a month or so of getting a set of bones that you were going to restore, you could wind up finding all the stuff. But now, you just find a piece here and there. Getting pretty scarce. Not to mention expensive. When I got it, I didn't know that I'd ever be able to find anything else, so I went ahead and restored it. And it's been a nice old car. Another thing we like to do with the cars is when a class presents itself that is suitable, I like to go to the Pebble Beach concours in California when we can. I enjoy that because you'll see stuff there you never see anywhere else. Plus you're playing with the biggest boys on the planet anyway, so I like to do that. And this car has won its class at Pebble Beach twice, once in 2001 and once in 2010. I have a kind of a mindset about restoration is that if it wasn't chrome back then, I don't chrome plate it and try to make the car as authentic a representation of what you would have seen in this car, in the case of this car, in 1950. If you'd been at Indianapolis in the garage area, I want this car to be as nearly to what you would have seen at that time as possible, not dream it into something that it was not.